A while ago, I was talking with a guest whom I interviewed in Nigeria, and she had to do with child welfare. Basically, we're looking at the situation of Nigerian children. Hello, and welcome to Obehi Podcast. I'm your host, Obehi A14, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now, let's get started into this episode. And one of the things that came up was that because she did make mention of a kind of a reference to child bride or child marriage in northern Nigeria. Of course, from there we bump him into talking about issues relating to culture and things like that. And what I find really fascinating about the whole idea is that some people they look at culture as if it was something that is fixed, you can never change. But I think that is wrong. In that culture is created so that we can regulate our life in a better way. It doesn't mean that we should suffer or we should never be able to change things if we feel that they are not going the way it's supposed to go. In that, you see, if you like the example I was making with Nikita when we were online, is that if you take up the kind of the way that we live our life today and so maybe you project it into what might happen in the next 500 years, the result is that people that are going to be living then are going to sort of laugh the kind of way we live today. That can be the way we use internet today, the way we use computer. It might be even the most powerful computer that you have in front of you that you are working with today. Maybe you are inside one of the most beautifully designed car. You are happy and say, this is the best that technology can offer us. But in 500 years from now, all that technology, all the design, architecture, our houses, and the rest of it, they're not only going to be the thing that people are going to be craving for. This is because things change, human beings change, technology change, the way we live our life change, the way we believe things are changed. So our culture should also change. In that, if there are things we are doing that we feel it doesn't stand the test of time anymore, I mean, it doesn't correspond to the way we want to live today, we should be courageous enough to change them. We cannot say that because it is cultural, because this is the way it has always been done, we will continue to live like that. It is not true. It is not set up to be like that. Culture, even just like language, the language that we speak today, if we transport it back, say, take a retrospect back to maybe like just 1,000 years ago, nobody understands what is English. Nobody will understand what you are talking about. You are speaking French, you are speaking Yoruba, or you are speaking Hausa. What does that mean? People will not understand it. All these languages actually are things of the recent time. They evolve. You see? So we must be able to be courageous to change an aspect or a part of the culture or the whole of the culture that is something that is not right in it, that at least based on our conviction, based on the way we live today. I mean, today, not 200 years ago, not 1,000 years ago, today. If it doesn't correspond to the way we interpret our life, we should be courageous enough to change them. What is good in marrying a child to an adult? What is culturally good in it? Let's look at it. A marriage should be something that happens between two adults. Both of them must consent to it. It's a contract. But both of them must consent to it. They must be willing to do it. It must be something that they want to do. I understand that all across various cultures in Africa, even in my place too, people used to go into marriage without necessarily be the one that are deciding whether they want to be in this marriage or not. But people grow up, culture evolve. Now we understand that before a man and a woman decide that they want to become husband and wife, but they need to agree that that is what they want to do. So if that is the case, what does a child, 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years, or 7 years, or 10 years old girl know to go into a marriage or a relationship with all the complication that we continue to see in it? See, what I'm basically saying is that we should not be afraid to change certain part of our culture if it's hurting us. There is no need crying in the dark. Be courageous enough and let's review it. Let's modify it. We don't need to throw away our culture. They are our culture. They are our value. We need to take them, but we need to be able to live there without punishing ourselves. And look at all the things that are happening in the name of, because we do not explain things to people enough. People lose interest, even in the culture itself, in totality, because they don't understand why certain things have to be done like that. That is why the custodians of this culture, irrespective of where you might be, irrespective of what we might be talking about, people should be courageous enough to evaluate and continuously evaluate that culture. What are the key values that hold the culture together? Those are the things that we are going to take. Because today we are talking of, this is the 21st century. Everything that we are, the life we are living today, we are talking of AI, we are talking of technology, computing, very powerful type of computing. These things were not available some 300, 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago, where many of these culture or the cultural norms might have been set up. So we cannot say the people there were stupid. They were not stupid. They acted based on what they knew. But it would be stupid on our part to be acting only on the knowledge of 1,000 years ago, despite the fact that we have a lot of energy, a lot of possibilities around us. It is on us to be able to evaluate our culture and pick the actual value that will move us forward. There is no need going back and start practicing things that are not helping us to advance. That is not the essence of the culture. Human being was not made for the culture. Culture is made for us. So we must be courageous to evaluate the culture and do away with those things that no longer make sense to us. Because after all, when this culture were made, the reality that we have today was not available then. So the people couldn't imagine that we were going to be using internet, they were going to be doing Zoom, they were going to be picking up a telephone and making a telephone call. You could be sitting maybe hundreds and thousands of kilometers away and you will say hello. In a fraction of a second, some other person will say hello. So because they didn't know this, there is no way our way of living today could have been reflected in that culture. That is why it is on us, not on our ancestors. It is on us to evaluate our culture, to review it, and to pick the ones that make sense to us today. And guess what? Our children, our great-grandchildren, those that are going to be alive in the world that we are living in today, most of the things that we are living with, that we call reality or some of the most advanced culture today, is not going to make any sense. It is up to them then to evaluate it and take the value that they see in the culture, and those that don't make sense to them, like the way we jump into the car today and begin to pollute the air, they are going to throw it away, because then there is going to be a new way of transportation, a new way of communication, a new way of dressing. But the way we dress, we are still going to dress, but the way we dress might change. The way we communicate might change. So culture is something that we need to evaluate continuously. We need to modernize. We need to bring up to date. Otherwise, a lot of people are going to reject it. If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewafo. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you in the next episode.